You ever wake up from a hospital bed thinking the worst is over, only to find out the real pain's just beginning? That's what happened to me. My name's Walter Grayson, 76 years old, retired postmaster, widower, and until 3 months ago, I thought I'd raised a decent family. 3 grown kids. All smiles and fake concern when I got pneumonia. But while I was struggling to breathe, they were busy selling the very roof over my head, my home of 45 years, right out from under me. They called it a necessary financial decision. They called it acting in my best interest. Well, I had another name for it, betrayal. But they didn't know something. That house was never just mine. It was tied up in a trust. A trust with one signature that could change everything. So while they counted their cash, moved into my living room like squatters, and tossed my dog's ashes in the trash, I planned. I watched. And when the time came, I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I signed. And just like that, they were out on the curb. Now let me take you back. Back to how they fooled me. And how I fooled them right back. I never liked hospitals. Always smelled like boiled cabbage and regret. But when my fever hit 104 and I couldn't stand, my daughter Janine called 911. Or so I thought. It was out of love. The paramedics came, loaded me into the ambulance like a sack of potatoes. I remember Janine patting my hand, saying, "Don't worry, Daddy. We'll take care of everything." She wasn't lying. They did take care of everything, including my damn deed. They dropped me off at St. Agnes Rehabilitation Center, room 114, with a view of the loading dock and 2 non-working outlets. It took me 4 days to even realize I wasn't in a hospital anymore. I asked where my wallet was, my phone, my house keys. The nurse said, "Your family took all your belongings for safekeeping." Something about the way she said safekeeping felt off. Like she didn't believe it either. I called Janine using the front desk phone. It went to voicemail. Then to voicemail again. On the 5th try, she finally answered. "Daddy, you sound tired. Don't strain yourself." "I'm not tired. I'm asking where my phone is." "Oh, well, we're holding onto it for now. Just focus on healing." "Okay." Click. I stared at the receiver. I might have been sick, but I wasn't stupid. Something was wrong. My son Kyle didn't visit once. My youngest, Mandy, posted a selfie in front of my fireplace. My fireplace. On Instagram with the caption, "New beginning." #grateful. New beginning? I was still alive. And then came the manila envelope. A courier dropped it off on day 11. Inside was a single page, notification of real estate transfer. My address. My name. But a different owner. A buyer. A stranger. I read the page over 5 times before it clicked. They'd sold it. Sold my house. While I was still breathing. Back in 1992, when my wife Marla passed from ovarian cancer, I'd made a promise to protect what we built. So I created a revocable living trust, a tip from an old coworker who got screwed by probate court after his dad died. I didn't trust lawyers much, but my buddy Harold knew a guy. Donnie Winslow, estate attorney with a steel trap memory and a mean golf swing. Donnie had helped me draw up the trust. The property was placed in it with a single clause. I remained trustee until my death or written resignation. No one, not even my kids, could sell it without my notarized approval. I dug through my things in the rehab center. Hidden in my toiletry bag was a copy of the trust, laminated and folded in a sandwich bag like a survival tool. I'd always been paranoid like that. I called Donnie from the nurse's office. "Walter," he said after a pause. "Didn't think I'd hear from you so soon. I need you to check something," I said. "My kids, I think they sold the house. But they don't have power of attorney. And the trust. Still active," Donnie said immediately. "Only you can revoke or change it. Let me run the deed history." 20 minutes later, he called back. "They forged your signature," he said. Sloppy job. Transferred it to an LLC run by Kyle. It's illegal as hell, but they're banking on you being too weak to fight it. That's when my old postmaster instincts kicked in. For 35 years, I tracked packages, sniffed out fraud, spotted forged checks. If they thought I'd go down easy, they'd forgotten who raised them. And they were about to learn. The first rule of revenge? Never rush it. Let them get comfortable. Let them think they've won. I left a message for Kyle. Told him I forgave him. Said I was ready to talk about the house when I got out. His reply? That's great, Dad. You're sounding more like yourself. Yeah, myself. The version of me they forgot could still bite. Donnie helped draft a temporary legal stay. We couldn't reverse the sale yet, not without more evidence. But we could freeze further transactions. In other words, no more cashing out. They didn't know that yet. Meanwhile, I played the weak old man. I asked for photos of the house. Janine sent me a video tour. New rug. Mandy's crystals in my reading nook. Kyle's dog, untrained and drooling, scratching my antique coffee table. Looks beautiful, I texted back. Just how Mom would have wanted it. Donnie chuckled when I told him. You're playing possum. I love it. Possum. Maybe. But possums don't carry wire recorders. With the nurse's help, I started recording every call. I logged texts, screenshots, emails. Even caught Kyle bragging to someone on speakerphone about how he finally flipped the old man's house. Dude didn't even fight, Kyle laughed. It was almost too easy. Oh, son. Too easy. The day I got discharged, I asked Donnie to meet me at the courthouse. I had one signature left to use. It was a Tuesday morning. Blue skies. Quiet courthouse. The kind of day my wife Marla would have called a good omen. Donnie walked beside me up the courthouse steps. I held a manila folder under my arm, one that contained every piece of evidence I'd gathered, the recordings, texts, emails, even screenshots of Mandy's grateful post from my living room. Donnie had already prepped the paperwork. I just had to show up and sign. You sure you want to do this? He asked me. No, I said. But I'm not doing it for me. I walked into room 304, civil petitions, and handed over the forms to the clerk. Petition to revoke fraudulent transfer, restore trust property, and file civil complaint for elder financial abuse. The woman at the desk raised an eyebrow. Someone's going to have a very bad day. I sure hope so, I said. The signature itself took 2 seconds. But what it meant, that was decades in the making. Within hours, Donnie had served the LLC Kyle used to hide the sale. Because the house was still in the trust, and because my signature had been forged, the sale was invalid. The buyer's title insurance company began to panic. I wasn't suing the buyer, just reclaiming what was mine. And guess what? The buyer backed out. Janine called me that night, frantic. Dad, what's going on? The guy who bought the house just backed out. There's a legal notice on the door. What the hell did you do? I let silence fill the line. Then, just sign something. You know, like you did for me. You don't understand, Daddy. We used that money to furnish the place you stole. It was for all of us. Kyle needed help. Mandy's rent. And I needed a place to live, which you sold. I hung up. The next morning, a deputy served an eviction notice on my house. My house. And for once, it was going to the right people. I watched from across the street in Donnie's car as Janine yelled at the deputy, Kyle punched a trash can, and Mandy sobbed on the porch. I felt nothing. Not triumph. Not grief. Just closure. Walter, Donnie said, you know they're going to come after you for this. Let them. They started it. I finished it. Fallout doesn't always come with sirens. Sometimes it arrives quietly, in the form of lawyer letters, voicemail threats, and cold silence from people you once held as infants. The day after the eviction notice, Mandy posted on Instagram, "My father betrayed us. Elder abuse isn't just about neglect, it's about control. #toxicparents." That one made me laugh. She forgot that I wasn't some fragile old man with a memory problem. I remembered everything. The times I changed her diapers, taught her how to ride a bike, bailed her out of a DUI when she was 22. Now, I was the villain? Janine sent a carefully crafted email threatening legal action, co-written by some friend of hers who watched a lot of Suits. She accused me of mental instability and emotional trauma, claimed I was delirious when I signed the revocation documents, suggested I was being manipulated by Donnie. I responded with one sentence, "I'd be happy to present medical records and audio files in court." Silence. Kyle, of course, didn't even try subtlety. He left me a voicemail. "You think this is over, old man? I built that LLC. That was my retirement plan. You just destroyed my life." I saved the voicemail and sent it to Donnie. "Emotional blackmail and financial exploitation," Donnie said. "If they push this, we countersue. You're protected." But I didn't want to drag it out. So I gave them one final offer. Vacate peacefully. No lawsuits. No press. I won't press charges for forgery if you leave and never try to take from me again. Janine replied. One word. Fine. They left 2 weeks later. I walked into my empty house on a Tuesday morning. Quiet. Still smelled like lemon cleaner and betrayal. There was a note on the kitchen counter. You win. We hope it was worth it. It wasn't about winning. It was about not losing everything that mattered. For a few weeks, I just sat in the silence. No voices echoing down the hall. No dog scratching my furniture. No essential oils burning in every room like Mandy used to do. Just me, my house, and the ghost of what had almost been taken. But you can't live inside silence forever. One morning, I brewed a pot of strong black coffee, sat at my dining room table, and asked myself, now what? This house had been my fortress, my prison, my battleground, and now it was just a house again. And I didn't want to die in it alone, surrounded by bitter memories and laminated trust documents. So I called Donnie. You ever hear of the Silver Stay program? I asked. He paused. You mean where seniors open their homes to others who need affordable assisted living? Exactly. It took a month of paperwork, inspections, and background checks. But on April 5th, I reopened the doors of my home, this time, not for blood relatives, but for brothers and sisters in age who'd been forgotten too. Mary, 84, lost her apartment when her landlord doubled the rent. George, 79, a Vietnam vet whose benefits barely covered food. And sweet Carol, 81, who hadn't spoken to her children in 6 years. We weren't roommates. We were survivors. I converted the guest rooms into cozy living quarters. Kept a calendar of group meals and movie nights. We even started a backyard tomato garden, Mary's idea. One day, while planting basil, she looked at me and said, You got grandkids, Walter? I smiled. I did once. Then their parents made a choice. She didn't ask further. She just handed me a trowel and said, You're better off. You got us now. And I did. I turned betrayal into belonging. It was a rainy Tuesday. The kind of day that makes your knees ache and memories creep in through the floorboards. I was watching Jeopardy! With George and Carol when the doorbell rang. Mary peeked through the curtain. It's a young woman, she said, with a little boy. I opened the door and froze. It was Mandy, and in her arms was a toddler, big brown eyes, chubby cheeks, holding a stuffed giraffe. Daddy, she said. This is Noah. I didn't say anything. Not for a full minute. George muted the TV in the background. I'm not here to fight, Mandy added. I didn't know where else to go. She looked different. Smaller. Not just physically, but like a balloon half deflated. I let her in. She stood awkwardly in the hallway while Noah toddled over and picked up one of the wooden trains we kept for visiting kids. "We're not staying," she said. "I just wanted you to meet him." I knelt down beside Noah. "How old are you, buddy?" He held up 2 fingers. I smiled. "That's a good number." We sat at the table. Mandy talked, really talked, for the first time in years. She apologized. For the house. For the lies. For letting Janine and Kyle talk her into it. "I thought we were helping you," she whispered. "But really, we were helping ourselves." "I know," I said. She left before dinner. But she came back the next week. Then again. And again. Forgiveness doesn't come all at once. But it can come in small hands, offering a toy giraffe and a crayon drawing that says, "Grandpa," in shaky letters. It started with a Facebook post. One of our Silver Stay members, Carol, uploaded a video of our backyard dinner. Just a few gray-haired folks laughing over spaghetti and meatballs. It went viral. Then the local news came. Then CNN. Senior evicted by kids turns home into sanctuary for the forgotten. I wasn't looking for fame. But the attention brought support. Donations, volunteers, even a community garden grant. Then came something I didn't expect. A letter. From Kyle. He apologized. Sort of. Said he was angry, confused. That he'd gone to therapy. That he was trying to be a better father himself. He asked if I wanted to meet his son. My other grandson. I didn't respond right away. Still haven't. Some bridges need more than time. They need rebuilding. Brick by brick. With hands that don't grab, but offer. Donnie came by one afternoon with new paperwork. "You ever thought about what happens to this house when you're gone?" he asked. I nodded. Every day. We drafted a clause in the trust. The house would remain a sanctuary. Managed by a local nonprofit. Protected. Permanent. No one could sell it. Not even Mandy. Not even Noah. "This isn't punishment," I told Donnie. "It's protection. The kind I didn't have." We signed it together. 2 old men, surrounded by life and laughter and lemon basil. Here's the thing they don't tell you about getting old. You stop being surprised by pain. But kindness, that still shocks you. I learned that betrayal doesn't define your life. What you do after does. I learned that blood may be thicker than water, but trust is thicker than both. I learned that sometimes, strangers can become your real family. And sometimes, family can become strangers. But most of all, I learned you can rewrite the ending, no matter how late in the story. So if you're watching this, if you've ever been betrayed by the people you loved most, hear me. Don't burn down your past. Build something better on top of it. And invite people in. If my story made you feel something, anger, hope, tears, then don't let it go to waste. Hit that like button. Share this with someone who needs to know they're not alone. Subscribe for more stories like this. Because sometimes, the best revenge is healing out loud.